I'm Yaz Gange.
I'm Josh Christensen.
And this is Most Innovative Companies Video Edition. So, Josh, what is your favorite Kraft Heinz snack?
Ooh, so I'm not a big mac and cheese fan.
No, me neither. We've talked about this. The powdered cheese is freaky.
Yeah, the powdered cheese freaks me out a little bit. I can get down with a Kraft single. I'm all fine with that. Honestly, though, I love Heinz ketchup.
Yeah, me too. That was going to be mine as well.
Yeah. I love Heinz ketchup. I do love Sir Kensington, too. I do love Sir Kensington. I do like a fancy ketchup, but like Heinz ketchup is a great go-to.
When I was a kid, I loved Jell-O, and now I think it's like the nastiest thing in the world.
It's, you know what? It's like the prepackaged Jell-O, because there's so many stabilizers in it and preservatives. The texture is like too gelatinous, if that makes sense.
Upsetting.
Like it's got too much spring.
Yeah,
it's got
really
like too much spring to it versus like a homemade Jell-O. Like it's a little more like it fights your spoon.
Yeah, you're like, this is a mess. I don't think I should eat this. Like,
although the pudding cups,
plastic.
Yeah, I can get by the pudding cups.
I'm not a fan, but my grandma is, so keep making them. Now, the reason we're talking about this is because today we are talking about Kraft Heinz. Kraft Heinz, the maker of Heinz ketchup, Jell-O, Kool-Aid, Oscar Mayer hot dogs, and more, is splitting into two entities. One will encompass its North America grocery business, and the other its fast-growing sauces and condiments business. Few details are available on the split yet, but the company's chief growth officer, Diana Frost, came on the show to talk a little bit about it, as well as how the company is tailoring its offerings to consumer needs and Ozempic's effect on the grocery business. Here's that conversation. So to get started, I think we'll get the big question out of the way. What can you share about the recent announcement that Kraft Heinz is splitting into two companies? And what does it mean for your job?
Such a great question, and obviously very topical right now for all of us. I think that the biggest thing with this news of the separation is focus. And I could not be more excited with the news. We have over 200 brands in 3 temperature states, in refrigerated, in frozen, and in shelf stable. So thinking about our ability to focus and give the love that each brand deserves and requires is exactly what we need to set up the companies for success today and for the long term. And so in terms of what it means for me, it remains to be seen. I mean, the only appointment that has been made so far has been our CEO, Carlos Abrams-Rivera, who's moving over to the North America Grocery Company. And what we are focused on right now is setting up both businesses up for success. And the only way to do that is look and focus on delivering for now.
Every day there's a new dictum from the government. Everybody's thinking about being more health conscious. How is the company innovating to stay relevant and sort of convince consumers that their products are healthy?
Such a great question. And what I'm so proud of is both H.J. Heinz and J.L. Kraft have been doing that for over 150 years. So if you think about the history and the origins of our company, H.J. Heinz was one of the first farm-to-table brands. And actually, you use the glass bottle to allow consumers to see the quality of the product all the way through. J.L. Kraft was a similar innovator. And so what I would say is taking the spirit of the history and the origin of our brands and making us both timeless and timely. So bringing that all the way forward to today. Think about the health-conscious consumer. We have done a ton of work over the last 5 years to renovate our brands and portfolio. We've actually renovated over 1,100 items within the portfolio.
What does renovating mean?
So renovating means whether you're taking sugar out or salt out or adding more protein, adding more fiber. So we talk about it internally as if, okay, so you're taking out some of the less good and adding in more good. And I think I'll give Heinz as an example as a starting point, and then I'll talk some of our other brands.
I would find it, if you tried to convince me that Kraft mac and cheese was healthy, we'd be having a very difficult conversation here. Anyway, sorry, let's talk about Heinz.
I will. And I will talk to you about mac and cheese in a second, because that's a fun one too. When I think about Heinz, a quarter of our sales of Heinz in the US is within our Better For You platform. And what I mean by that is, okay, you can have Simply. So Simply is a product that has simple ingredients. So like 5, if not more, simple ingredients. That's growing at 9%. We also have a no added sugar. We also have organic. That actually, 1 in 4 ketchups bought is actually within the better for you part of the business. So a big thing for Kraft Heinz, there's 3 things to remember. One is it needs to taste great. Number 2, it needs to be affordable. And number 3, we have to be able to give consumers choice that they can have both delicious and nutritious products.
So you're saying basically you'll have like a healthier assortment along with the sort of product that everybody knows, for instance. Like you're still making the ketchup that like I grew up with, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are making we are not walking away from the tried and true and what consumers love. But even in some categories within the core product, we will look to reduce some sodium, some sugars, but still get the great taste. So it's all about balance. And I think that balance also comes with affordability and making sure the consumers have that choice of both, but that they can afford it.
You know, and I know this was a big thing in a lot of earnings reports, I would say last year, 2 years ago especially. But with more people adopting things like Ozempic, how has that affected your strategy?
I think what's so interesting about Ozempic and these GLP-1 drugs is, yes, we've seen adoption, no question. But actually, most consumers go off of these types of drugs after about 1 year. But there will be continued adoption and may at some point likely a pill format or something to be able to get to scale. So how it actually has changed eating is not only for people on Ozempic, we call it the GLP-1 culture. And within the GLP-1 culture, people need and require more protein. People need and require other nutrients where they might actually end up deficient based on what they're eating, having been on the drug. So the way we look at it is it's beyond just what's happening with the GLP-1 itself, because we haven't seen a substantial change to our sales and categories as a result of it. But we are consumer obsessed as a company. So being consumer obsessed, you need to understand how eating patterns are changing as a result of this more broadly. And really, it goes back to consumers are looking for more protein. Consumers are looking for more fiber. Consumers are looking for more fruit and veg. But the biggest piece aligned to it is the protein. Protein is required, particularly on these medications, in order to make sure that you have a balanced diet.
So where are you putting protein? What are the launches that you're concentrating on?
I think what's great is we already have some really great products that contain protein. I mean, you look at our Lunchables portfolio that already has over 11 to 12 grams of protein. That is important. We also have a launch upcoming next year in mac and cheese that will really talk protein and fiber. We have actually quite a big pipeline within our current portfolio, as well as some new things that you'll see over the course of the next year that really focus on higher levels of protein to deliver on the needs of the consumers while not compromising on taste and affordability.
I gotta say, we've seen protein everywhere. Like Starbucks now has protein foam. Khloe Kardashian launched, protein popcorn. Do you think that's here to stay?
When you look at nutrition and well-being and holistic health, I think there are certain things that are always going to be here to stay. I think consumers are always going to be looking for things that taste great, but have less sugar, less saturated fat, and less sodium. That's kind of number one. And number two, consumers also are going to be looking for more fruit and veg in their diet, more fiber, more protein. These are kind of staples that regardless of what's going to happen within functional foods, that I fundamentally believe are here to stay. But again, not at the sacrifice of taste and cost and affordability.
So I'm curious, you're chief growth officer. We've just talked about opportunities when it comes to protein. What are some of the other sort of biggest opportunities you can identify when it comes to growth and product innovation at the company today? What are some of the properties you think, can be zhuzhed up or new products that you're trying to launch?
Well, I think what's so interesting, and we just launched over the last, I would say, year and a half, what we're calling the brand growth system. And I'm not sure if you've heard about that yet. And
No.
really, what it is, it's our philosophy on marketing and how brands grow. It's focused on understanding at the root of it that no matter what brand you're on, what category you're in, what country you're in, there's a way of understanding the consumer to enable brand growth. And it's across 4 pillars. It's across what we call brand resonance, to really understand what is meaningful, what is salient, what is different about your brand. If you go into product and pack, what are the ingredients? What gives you superiority? And what does that actually mean in both your product delivery, but also your packaging as we think about convenience and ways to unlock convenience? The third, and it's never been more important than what's been happening right now, is affordability and the value equation, both for the customer and for the consumer. And last, but certainly not least, the pillar is omni execution, which means how are you executing and showing up the same, whether it's in brick and mortar retail or online. And I take a step back there to say that those 4 pillars are backed by about 79 analyses. And what that allows us to do is say, what is truly most important for the consumer? So yes, in some cases and in some categories, you've got better for you and health and wellness playing into importance.
Mm-hmm.
In others, you actually have convenience. And how are you actually delivering against that convenience in a different way? I mean, we pioneered the upside down bottle in condiments back in 2002 and 2003, and all competitors followed suit. Well, no one's done anything since. So you think about the pain points, even in the packaging, of how you get all of the product out of the bottle. How do you actually store it in your fridge so it doesn't take up so much space? How do you make sure that you can get the right amount of precision dosing on your foods? So I think what you'll see from us is, depending on the category, a lot of work that's been done on, in some cases, it's better for you. In some cases, it's convenience. In some cases, it's flavor exploration. You think about flavor exploration and personalization, and I couldn't be prouder of the work that we've done with the Remix machine. I don't know, you guys featured it a while back.
Yeah.
And now we're up to thousands of personalized sauces in these machines to be able to understand, when consumers are looking for flavor exploration, what are the different fun combinations that you can do? So I am just so incredibly proud that we've worked on this brand growth system. It's enabling the acceleration of innovation because it's rooted in both brand truths and consumer truths.
Now, to go back a little bit to the sort of better for you category, there have been a few reports from former employees where they basically said there were some missed opportunities when it comes to meeting demands for fewer preservatives and artificial ingredients. I'm curious, whether you took that feedback into account, what you think they were talking about. Like, tell me a little bit about that initiative.
Yeah, and I can't speak to what former employees have said, but what I can speak to is the fact that we are leading with the consumer in terms of both, and leading with science. So leading with the consumer and leading with science to understand what is right to put in and take out of our portfolio. I will say we were the first company that came out and said we would be removing the FD&C on artificial colors and dyes. First one to come out and say it, and so many have followed suit. But we are removing it out of our entire portfolio by 2027. And so, yes, when you have as many categories as we have and you have as many brands, certain times there may be opportunities missed, but with this brand growth system and with putting the consumer first, we are always going to put the consumer and science at the forefront of the decisions that we make. And I'm incredibly proud of that.
I'm curious, the supply chain is crazy right now. Tariffs are a thing. How do you make sure that, this ever-changing supply chain can keep up with the pace of innovation? And how do you make sure that shelves can stay stocked around the world?
Yeah, it's a great question. And quite frankly, in this post-COVID era, the digitalization of supply chain has been absolutely critical to that. Being able to understand and map end to end, from ingredients to logistics to shelf, and getting real-time signals to be able to understand, okay, there's been a spike in demand here, and that automation is absolutely critical. And so the team has been spending a ton of time, whether it's through the control tower, we call it control tower, but really leveraging the automation and digitalization of the entire supply chain, and now leveraging AI with these real-time signals that you don't have to wait, and it's the real-time signals to actually improve your forecasting, but be able to signal to be able to fulfill all of the needs of our customers and consumers.
Have you been affected by tariffs? Has the company been affected by tariffs?
I mean, all companies have been affected by tariffs in some way, shape, or form. I mean, we're in a position, fortunately, where it can be minimized. But I would say we're very, very proud. If you look at the U.S., we manufacture everything that we make, that we sell in the U.S. in the U.S. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that we've got over 30 manufacturing facilities there. We have our pickles are grown there, our California tomatoes, the real dairy that we need and required for Philadelphia is within the U.S. So I would say we are while we are not immune to being affected by it. We have a supply chain, and we have our categories and products that are very much manufactured in the U.S.
I know Kraft Heinz has a generative AI platform called Leonardo. What can you tell us about it, and what are some of the kind of real world examples of Leonardo that you can give us?
Absolutely. So what I love about Leonardo, and truly what it is, it's our ability to recipe develop, and it's really the development process within R&D, and to cut it down by about 50%. And so one of the things that's so important to be timely for consumers is how can we make sure we have the best outcomes, but we minimize the time that it takes to get there. And through the work that we've done with Leonardo, which allows us to put in a brief with very clear parameters, it cuts down the time by 50% to get multiple outputs of formulas. So one of the ones we've used it for is in the sodium and sugar reduction within TK in Europe. And we've launched it's called TK Zero, which is tomato ketchup zero, Heinz zero, no added sugar, no added salt. And what Leonardo enabled us to do was making sure that you put in the parameters of taste and texture that are required while reducing the sodium and sugar. So now it's a no added sugar, no added salt product that's been launched and doing incredibly well. And we're now using Leonardo in multiple other places across the portfolio.
Did you develop Leonardo in-house?
Leonardo is a combination of work in-house with an external partner as well.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are looking at, there are things that we are experts at, and where we've accelerated a lot is surrounding ourselves by a partnership ecosystem that enable us who have specialties that we don't have in-house.
And in terms of the sort of data that Leonardo can use, I mean, I'm guessing that's, formulas from the products or years of recipes. Is that fair to say? It's like all your proprietary data?
Yeah, Leonardo can use and put in those, and then put in different parameters and other different ingredients. And if one ingredient isn't available, it can substitute it for another. And so that's where it keeps getting smarter every single time you do it, because it's never going to be just Leonardo the tool. It's the combination of Leonardo the tool and the R&D folks that are working together to come to a best-in-class outcome.
I think Leonardo is a really good example of kind of creativity in a business that, don't take this the wrong way. Kraft Heinz, not the most exciting company on the surface. When somebody, talks to you, right? It's not like an open AI. I think it's fair to say. But what are some of the biggest sort of, from your point of view, examples of creativity or innovation that you've seen at the company over the past year or so?
What I'm so proud of is when you talk about a culture of creativity, and you brought it up so well, is that creativity is not just in communications. Creativity needs to be used to drive innovation across the entire portfolio. So whether it's been the creativity of the example we just talked of how R&D is leveraging creative solutions through AI to get to faster outcomes, We have other solutions where it's being used in content creation and actually cutting down the content creation process by 80% when you're doing certain product-driven advertising. I would also say the creativity we've had, and it's only accelerated in the last year, of having an in-house agency. We started an in-house agency back in 2021, and it's now well over 200 people. And it allows us to move at the speed of culture and get involved in conversations that we've never been in before and do it in a timely fashion. And the most recent example this year was with DJ Mustard. And how we entered ourselves into that conversation through the Grammys and the Super Bowl, but followed it up with a co-created product that sold out in weeks. And so what I think the most important piece is innovation can come from anywhere. And innovation is innovation in business models, which is what we've done with the Remix machine. Innovation in supply chain to have real-time signals and forecasting. Innovation in how you innovate with R&D to be faster and more agile in how we approach it, to even innovation in process and moving from a linear innovation process to having pods. We call them agile pods that are upwards of 70 in the company that are focused on the biggest critical things to unlock and solve for the organization. And so a culture of creativity is a culture of innovation, and it sits well beyond the marketing function. And that's where every year and every month, Kraft Heinz is getting stronger there.
Looking ahead, what are some of the biggest sort of trends that consumers can expect over the past year from Kraft and or Heinz? Whether that's product trends, whether that's, a greater assortment on the shelves. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it goes back to the trends that are here to stay, not these blips and moments in time. You'll see a lot and continue to see a lot from Kraft Heinz in this optionality space, which is, okay, what are some better for you products? What are some more claims on products, whether it's high protein or fiber or anything like that? So you'll see that across a number of our different businesses, is meeting consumers where they're at.
When you're rolling out those products, do you generally have this strategy of having all of them in a brick and mortar supermarket or some of them online? Like, do you know what I mean? When you're presenting consumers with optionality, how do you do that, if that makes sense?
It has to be in omni. And what I mean by that, it's both brick and mortar and it's also online. So while we have some market tests that we do sometimes that are just online, for the most part, when we have our big bets and we talk about our big bet launches, that is making sure that the consumers have the same experience with our brand, whether it's brick and mortar or online.
Mm-hmm.
And
that makes sense.
And that's something that's incredibly important to us. So you'll see that. You'll see this health and wellness, better for you without sacrificing taste. You'll also see a lot outside of health and wellness. There is this notion of comfort and nostalgia with a lot of our brands. And you're seeing that in a lot of spaces beyond, I would say, just consumer packaged goods, this idea of just bringing it back. And luckily, our products play a great role in that. So you'll see us play into some of that, whether it is within consumer communication or even in some, I would say, in some product rollouts.
My last few questions are kind of a speed round, if you will,
All right.
about different products in your portfolio. And I guess the first is, what's a brand or a product that you've seen like a unexpected resurgence from in the past few years?
Oh, that's a great one. Funny enough, actually, Ore-Ida. So Ore-Ida's one, like
I
it's
don't even know what that is.
frozen potatoes.
It's frozen.
So you've got fries, you've got tater tots, you've got hash browns. So that we've seen a great resurgence in that business, because it can be breakfast, it can be dinner, it can be, and think about sides and side dishes, seeing a great deal of resurgence in Ore-Ida.
What is a brand that you would like to see have a resurgence?
I would say some good momentum recently on Capri Sun, and such a great, I would say, brand for families and everything, and just in kid culture. And so I would love to continue to see the resurgence of Capri Sun, would love to continue to see the resurgence of Lunchables. Heinz has already been doing very well, so don't need a resurgence in that brand. But I would say, and a resurgence in mac and cheese.
What is a Kraft Heinz product that you personally can't live without?
Okay, so this is where I'm going to reveal where I am from. So I am Canadian, and the one product I cannot live without is Kraft peanut butter. So, fun fact, Kraft peanut butter is a staple in Canada, and it's actually one of the number one selling items in all of Walmart in food. And it is so delicious. So when I take my Canadian hat on, I cannot live without Kraft peanut butter. But in terms
Do you like
of
this smooth or crunchy?
smooth. I'm
Okay.
a smooth guy every time. How about you?
I like smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying, but in terms of America?
Oh, I mean, the other one I love, Philadelphia cream cheese is
Gotcha.
cannot live without. Yeah.
Is there one that this is not casting aspersions on the business, this is your personal taste you don't like as much?
Well, this is going to be very controversial actually, because I don't love pickles. And I love, like, our Clausen pickles do so well, but as like a personal human, I just don't like pickles.
Okay, so yes to peanut butter, no to pickles. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, great. Appreciate the time.